Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Here's the intro. Fat and older, 230 kilo squat. Those of you that have followed my videos recently will know that my push towards a 200 kilo bench press has taken a stall after me tearing some pec fibers recently. You can see that in my previous video. So I thought I would just carry on with my training as normal, hoping to build my squat. Well, not hoping to, I will be building my squat. And so we'll show you here what my leg day looks like. So I start with these hamstring slides. They look easy, and they are not the most difficult exercise in the world, but the strength of the contraction in the hamstrings is astonishing. It's a fabulous exercise. It was one that I wish I'd found a lot earlier than what I did and utilized. As we go through the video, you guys will see I use two types of movement. I use a knee flexion and extension movement, and then hip extension and flexion for hamstrings. The reason for this, people are wondering, there are three hamstrings, as we know: the semimembranosus, the semitendinosus, and the biceps brachii. But there are, sorry, biceps brachii, leg biceps. I'm sorry. The leg bicep, has two heads, however, a long head and a short head. Why is this important? So all of the hamstring heads, apart from the short head of the leg bicep, cross both hip and knee joint. The short head of the leg bicep crosses only the knee joint. And so this is why it's important to make sure that we get a hip dominant exercise and a knee dominant exercise to make sure. This is why if I had one, the glute ham raise would be my go-to, because it can activate the hamstring from both ends, knee flexion and hip flexion and extension as well. It might be something that we get in the future. We used to have it, and the activation of your hamstrings on a glute ham raise is phenomenal. I can't tell you how amazing it is. But anyway, moving on now here to seated leg curls. Again, it's putting the hamstrings in a stretch position at the hip, and then that's knee flexion and extension to really get a good contraction, coming up nice and steady, going for a bit of a burn here, and aiming for, I can't remember how many reps that was, 15 or 20, whatever it was, before pumping up the weight each time, moving on towards lower reps and high weight, as most people tend to train that way. There's nothing new in that. What I am trying to do, the last set of every exercise that I do lately, is to take that set to as close to proper failure as I can. Without anybody else in the gym, I can't really do forced reps and forced negatives, but I can do the lengthened partials. Now look, these lengthened partials that the science-based community amongst us are rattling on around, it's nothing new. Back when I started training as a young 17 or 18-year-old, we would take an exercise to failure, and then we would, when we couldn't get that full contraction, what we would then do is aim to get as many more reps as possible in that lengthened position, just to carry on until we couldn't do it. It's not new. But as I've said many times, Jeff Nippard has recently done a study that showed that those lengthened partials are only a better option for new trainers. The study that he did with Dr. Fox showed that for people that have got an established history of training, intermediates and advanced lifters, the most beneficial way of training is with a full range of motion. If you want belt and braces, do the full range of motion, and then at the end, do what weightlifters, powerlifters, bodybuilders, strongmen have always done: a few of those forced reps at the end, or a few of those lengthened partials. It's always been done. It's nothing new, and I begrudge this science-based community from trying to hijack it and say that it's something new, something that we should be doing because the research has shown. The research can show what it wants. We figured it out years ago before the research needed to be done. If you train hard enough, you find ways to make the sets longer and harder, and that's one of the things that we found a way to make the sets longer and harder. And talking of strength shortening, of lengthening the hamstring as well, some people will say, look, pull yourself forward as far as you can on this device to increase the stretch. Sometimes I will do it if I'm feeling it, other times I won't do it. I'm just upping the ante now on my leg training. I'm just starting to move into more of a hypertrophy phase for certain body parts after my trip to Iceland and the Husserfeld Stone. And this is just the first week or so of the push-pull legs routine that I will be doing now that the bench press has had to take a back seat for now, because obviously the press will have to be an overhead, which is fine because overhead press is my favourite lift. And what I don't want to do after this is spend the next 2 days not being able to walk down the stairs or get off the toilet, because that's not a cool look, especially in front of your wife and your kid. But anyway, that was 5 or 6 sets of hamstring curls. One of the reasons I like to do a hard hamstring introductory exercise at the beginning of my workout before squats is to make sure that my knees are in a good place. I've always found, and it's something that I would encourage you to try, I'm not going to say it's definitely going to work for you, but I would definitely encourage you to try that if you've got any kind of knee issue. Warm your hamstrings up thoroughly and hard and see how you get on with your squats. As you can see, I like to box squat. This is with a safety squat bar. I love squatting with a safety squat bar, but I'll only do it for 3 weeks or so, working up to a top single at about 90%, very similar to the way that Westside do it. I'll do that for 3 weeks, and then I will rotate in another bar, whether it's the giant cambered bar or the bow bar or whatever it is. I tend to not squat these days with a straight bar. It causes havoc with my shoulders, and so I tend to just keep at the ones that don't aggravate my shoulders at my age. The box isn't particularly low. I probably just there or thereabouts at parallel. As I feel a little bit more confident and get a little bit more used to the regular squatting twice a week, I'll probably drop that box height down. And one of the things I like about being able to do a squat here with the safety bar is one of the accessories that I will throw in is a safety squat, close stance, low box squat. Louis Simmons at Westside said, if you can get to below parallel on a low box, the close stance on a safety squat bar, that is a really interesting way to build and test where you are with your squat and your deadlift because of the mechanics of the position that it puts you in. I love that exercise, and it's one that I can put in, that you can put in and give it a go to build strength in squat and deadlift. It really works. It works for me. I know a lot of other people, especially guys I used to train with, that say the same thing. It's excellent. But this is just a bog standard working up a safety bar squat to a medium box up to a top single. I've got the wraps on, I've got the belt and everything. As I've said before, it's just compression. And at my age, it just feels right to keep everything tight and smooth and in the right place. This is 220, I think this is 220 kilos, this one. I've not been up this high for a little while. Was that 220 or 230? I don't know. Whatever it was. The Cerberus safety squat bar is fantastic. We've not had that long. It's excellent. There's a little bit of bounce in it at the top as well, which actually can give you a little bit of whip if you time it right. which is really nice as it gets a little bit heavier. I don't know if that's 220 or 230 without counting those weights on that bar, and I can't be bothered with it. But yes, that was 230. So now here, I always follow squats with good mornings. There are so many variations of good morning. Whichever bar I've squatted with, I will always use that bar for my good mornings. This is one of my favourite variations. It's a good morning, down, bend forward into the lower good morning position. I squat down and then lean forward again, and then kind of hyperextend up, and then good morning into the top position. The reason I like this, it's not my exercise, it's one that I saw on YouTube, is because you get 2 stretches in your hamstrings per rep. So looking from the top here, there's your first stretch, moving into a slightly shortened position, into another stretch, and then pulling up the top rep. I will tend to do, once I get up to speed with my good mornings, I tend to do 6 sets of these, normally of any type of good morning, 2 close, 2 medium, 2 wide. My absolute favourite good morning is giant cambered bar on a wide stance. Nothing hits my glutes like that, especially for higher reps, around about 12. And it's a really lights my glutes up. Again, if you have access to a giant cambered bar, give it a go. Wide stance, wider than you would normally want to. Good mornings, as close to parallel as you can get, and you'll feel, hopefully, something in your glutes that you've not felt before. And of course, the closer you get with your stance, the more hamstring activation you'll get. This was said for a long time to be a really dangerous exercise. It's the same as anything. Any exercise that you do in crap form is going to be dangerous. Any exercise that a coach doesn't know how to teach you and cue you can be a dangerous exercise. Any exercise can be dangerous. But in and of itself, it's not inherently dangerous. It's an exercise that is massively adaptable, a massive number of variations, and it has huge crossover, depending on the variation you use, to both deadlift and squat. You can see here I've gone wider to bring in a little bit more glute. I can really feel this width in my glutes. It's not quite as wide. I will go with the giant cambered bar. I find that this Cerberus bar, it's such a thick pad, which I love, by the way, really yanks you forward if you're not careful. And what I don't want to do is go too much wider, because I did it previously and it pulled me off balance a little bit, and I didn't like it because I'm a bit of a Nancy. But anyway, this is just another 3 sets of 6. I think this was finishing off on something that's going to give a little bit of crossover, just a nice accessory. If I don't do good mornings after squats, I will do RDLs. Those are the 2 main hip flexion and extension exercises I do after my squats. On to hack squat. Now, one of my subscribers asked me recently, he'd bought one of these, or was about to pull the trigger on it, and asked me to do another video with a review of it, how it's holding up, and it's fantastic. I use the hack squat, if I'm honest, more than the leg press. Not for any particular reason, but I just prefer the hack squat variation on this. I, for a long time, had real serious knee problems when doing a hack squat. And when we bought it, it was essentially for the people that come in and use the gym. There's about 30 people come in and use our gym. And some of them said, look, is there a chance of a leg press or a hack squat? So we got the combi version, which I thought was a bargain. About £1,300. I'm not sure what that is in dollars. Probably about $1,700-1,800 maybe. I was always high and wide. I haven't got the greatest ankle dorsiflexion, but I was always high and wide, and the pain in my knees was dreadful. Simply moving my feet in and doing it much closer, in a way that I saw Dorian Yates do on one of his videos, and it was a revelation. Being able to get some decent weight on it and put some reps in. Today, I didn't go below 10, stayed at 10 reps. Didn't go crazy on the weight up to, I think, 140 kilos. I think it was, um, for a set of 10, which was challenging, but it wasn't the end of the world. I think last week I did a set of 6 with 180 kilos, which was much more challenging. I'm hoping over the next 12 months or so to work up to a decent set of 10 to 12 with 200 kilos. I think I will have put some considerable size on my quads then, because my thighs are 28 inches. Don't ask what my belly is because it's fucking enormous. My thighs are 28 inches. I would love to get up to 29 or 30. And I think I could put, even at 50, training hard and smart and consistently, I think I can put that inch or two on, even at my age. But again, barring injury, knee health, that sort of a thing. Finishing up now, I think this is my last set. Trying to go as deep as I can. This is the platform set at the steepest angle possible with the squat shoes on. So I'm going as deep as this machine will let me go. I've tried putting blocks of wood on to go a little bit deeper, but it doesn't instill me with confidence because of how close, how unstable it seems to make it. I might do it in the future for higher reps with much less weight, but at the minute, this is all I'm going to be concentrating on. Anyway, I think I'm going to throw last 3 or 4 reps on this, and this will wrap the video up. And those of you that have stayed the course, it's a longer video today. It's a good 17-minute video. It's much longer than I would normally do. Thank you if you stayed this long, and hopefully be back with the next leg session really soon, and an update on my pec tear for those of you that are interested. And as I get more confident on the microphone, I'll hope be able to do it a bit better.